What I'd like to talk to you about today is give you some practical tips to create an environment that will actually help you to release and reduce your stress. Now, we think about stress coming from all different areas. We think about it coming from, of course, our clients or the people that we're working with on a day-to-day basis, our life stressors. But oftentimes, we look at our environment and we don't realize that we're desensitized to the stressors that are in it. So what I want to do today is bring your awareness to some of those things in the environment that actually trigger your fight or flight response, as Sharisa mentioned, or that activate your nervous system in a way that you actually could control if you were to change that. So I want to start with just a breathing exercise. Sharisa did the shake, shake, shake. I'm just going to ask you to take 3 deep breaths. So everybody take a nice deep inhalation and let it go. And another deep breath in and let it go. And one more deep breath in and let it go. And just notice, by that 3rd deep breath, how your body relaxed. So there's a relaxation response that's created in the body after 3 deep breaths. You can use that anytime, anywhere. There also can be relaxation responses built into your environment. So I want to take you through a 3-step process that hopefully you can incorporate when you go back to work. The first one is clear. We need to clear a space in our environment. And you've all heard, clear your clutter. There's a book on feng shui, Clear Your Clutter with Feng Shui. And of course, if you go back to when feng shui originated, it was thousands and thousands of years ago. And back then, they didn't have clutter. So if you picked up a book on ancient feng shui, you wouldn't find a chapter on clutter because they didn't have it. They only had what they needed, what they used, or what they loved in their environment. They only had what was functional for them, or what lifted them up and inspired them. So when we talk about clutter in our environment, we talk about releasing it, eliminating it, reducing it, whatever you can do. And in a busy office where you've got a lot of reports and you've got a lot to do, it can be a challenge. Anybody have a challenge with it? Yeah, it's a very typical common thing. And so what we have to do is identify what it is that we actually need, and then we need to make a commitment to maintaining that level of clearing every single day. Because you can imagine if you just took 5 minutes at the end of your day to even tidy up your desk, how you might feel a little bit differently coming in the morning. Because if your desk is filled with stuff, and then you walk in first thing and you're supposedly fresh, you see that desk filled with paperwork and files. How might you feel? Overwhelmed is the word that I heard, overwhelmed. So we want to start our day in a different way than that. And so even that 5 minutes at the end of the day, so we can clear anything we don't need, anything we don't use, and everything we don't love. Well, where do we put it? People always say, well, my file cabinets are filled. So we have to clear those so that we have an organizational system. Why does it matter? Because the clutter triggers that activation in your nervous system. You're processing everything through your eyes, you're looking at it, and every item in our environment has a message for us. Every item in our space has a thought, a feeling, or a memory attached to it. So we have to use that information and really support ourselves by clearing the clutter. I like to tell people to create feng shui real estate on their desk or in their office space. What does that mean? That means the more clear surface area you have, the calmer you can feel in that environment. So even if it's the top of a file cabinet, or it might be a section of your desk, or other areas within your office space, can you clear those surface areas and notice that your nervous system relaxes a little bit more, and you do too. So that's one way you can do it, to clear your clutter, create a little feng shui real estate. And then the third part of the process is to maintain that, to take that 5 minutes every day at the end of the day so that you can clear your space and come in the morning with a fresh viewpoint so you don't feel that overwhelm. The second step in the 3-step process is to arrange. So once we've cleared our space, we arrange it in a way that's supportive and nurturing to us. What does that mean? In feng shui, we have a principle called the command position. That means we have a full or a peripheral view of the main door. So if we're sitting with our back to the door, how might we feel? Vulnerable. I heard it straight off the bat. Vulnerable, it activates your fight or flight response again. We want to be empowered in our space. We want to create an environment where we can feel like we have command in the room. If it's possible to align your desk with your back to a solid wall, a full or a peripheral view of the door, then we want to do that. If you're unable to do that, if you're in a cubicle, for example, you might be able to work with a mirror so at least you can see behind you. What will that do? It will allow you to reduce the amount of times that you're turning your head back and forth when people are walking behind you. So it reduces the chance of repetitive stress disorder. And it also allows your nervous system to relax. It can de-stress you. So we want to arrange our furniture in a way that we're in the command position in the room. We also want to leave enough space to walk. So often I see in office spaces, because we have limited space in our environment, that we fill it up with furniture, with file cabinets, with plants, with things that are actually in our way of our path that we need to walk. So one rule of thumb I always use is pretend you're carrying 2 grocery bags that are full. You need about that amount of space to feel comfortable walking through your environment. And you need that pathway to be clear. And that's how feng shui works. It's energy flow. Flowing energy through pathways. The pathways need to be clear. So if you can arrange in your space to put your furniture in the command position and allow there to be a clear pathway for you to walk that avoids sharp edges and sharp angles. Now, why would we want to avoid those? They hurt. Bumps, bruises, things like that. Of course, now you learn that if you're in your house in your living room and you bump into your sharp-edged coffee table, you're going to learn pretty quickly that, that sharp edge is undesirable. But in our office spaces, we often have that too. Sometimes we can just move the desk a few inches away to give ourselves a little bit more room to avoid the bumps and bruises, but also to relax the nervous system. Because what happens is when you walk by something that has a sharp edge or an angle, your muscles tense up. They want to protect you. So if we can allow ourselves that extra room or soften that edge or angle by having more circular, if it's a table, a rounded edge on the table, and if you can't change out your furniture, that's okay. You can add a plant that cascades down over it, or a piece of fabric can often camouflage that sharp edge or angle. So just watch for those things in the environment and the arrangement of your space. So far we have clear. We're going to clear the clutter. We arrange putting our furniture in a way that supports us in the environment, and then we're going to beautify it. So we think about our environments. Once we've cleared out what we don't need, we only have what we need that's left. And think about those things that are on your desk. I always ask what people have on their desk, and they say, well, I have a stapler, I have a computer, a phone, I have files, I have, the carton full of pens or the container full of pens. Do we really need every single thing on the desk? Could it be in a drawer? Once we clear it, once we arrange it, how can we beautify? What do we want to put back on the desk or in our environment that actually acts as an anchor for us, that lifts our energy up? And if you say to yourself, well, yeah, I kind of like that, that's really a neutral response. We want to get away from neutral. We want to work towards positive. Does it create a positive emotional response in your body? If it's negative or neutral, you can let it go, unless it has a function or a purpose, and then of course we're going to use it. So we want to be mindful about what we bring in and put in as anchors, and bring things in that represent you, that make you feel like you're at home. You work long hours, you're in those offices for long periods of time. We want to comfort you. We want to make you feel like you're supported in that environment. How else can we do it? In the film that we saw, it talked about how nature was one of the most powerful healing processes that we have, or the ability to be within nature. If we can bring in plants, flowers, things that are living, that will lift your energy up. It also cleans the air, which is really nice. Yeah? And we can bring in other things that are meaningful to us, artwork, photographs of our family, things that really motivate and inspire you, so that when you see them in your environment, of course, now that everything else is cleared, you can actually focus on them. So the 3-step process, again, would be to clear, to arrange your furniture, and then to beautify your environment, to create a space. This is one area of your life where you actually can control at least a portion of it. So what can you do today, or when you go back to your offices, to put these 3 steps into action to support yourself and give yourself a little more self-care, at least on the physical level in your space? Thanks so much.